Good morning, everybody. Happy Monday. It is Mental Wellness Monday. Hope you are having a fantastic start of your week. Hope you had a wonderful weekend and maybe you even had a little fun. What did I do this weekend? Not that much fun. But I did get lots of errands done and I got a big project that I was working on finished. So whoop, whoop. It was good. So that was fun that I got it done. So I'm just excited. Excited's like an interesting word. I feel grateful to be able to bring this thought to you today because this weekend I was really reflecting on the role our parents have in our lives. As adults, the role our parents have in our lives, and how much of what we do and things that happen to us and how we feel is sometimes reflected on the relationship we had with our parents. And in some cases, we're not even really present or conscious of that impact in our lives. It's just what we do. And I had the opportunity this weekend to talk with a friend who was really struggling with her daughter in some issues. And when you looked back at it, it was really the foundation of these problems, which were now pretty big, were about the relationship with her father. And I thought about my daughter's relationship with her father, which has not been easy. And how grateful I am that she has been willing to do the work to heal herself and to learn about herself as she moves through this as a young adult. And the difference it makes in her life that she's been able to do that versus being at effect by the relationship with her father. So I wanted to bring this to you today because you might know someone. It might even be you who maybe you're not living your best life. Maybe you're not as powerful as you can be. Maybe, I don't know what it looks like, but it might be because of some things that maybe are unresolved with your parents and your relationship with them. So I hope that after you listen to this today, that in the comments, you will answer the question, on my journey to wellness, I've learned that my parents, what? So I have actually a pretty good relationship with my parents. My father died, now almost 30 years ago. He was a lot older than my mom. You know, my mom's 94, she'll be 94 in a couple months. She's still doing great. But one of the things I know I learned in my relationship with my father especially, who was super quiet, not very demonstrative, not very, you might say not very loving, but he wasn't mean. I just don't think he learned about being loving. Like, I think I can remember back as I think about my relationship with my father, who I adore. I adored my father. Is that because he didn't come from that space of, he was an old guy. My dad was born in 1909. He's dead now, but he was born in 1909. Like, his mom was a slave. Like, my dad was not doing mental wellness, I assure you. And I remember he never went to any of my events, none of the things I did in school. My mom came when she could. And I remember what a big day it was when he came to my high school graduation. Like, literally, my father had not been to one school event my entire life. And it wasn't bad. Like, that was just who my dad was. My dad was a super hard worker, took really good care of us, like, would do anything for us. But he wasn't an emotional kind of guy. And I remember what a big day it was when he came to my graduation and how happy I was. And I remember thinking, like, how grateful I was that I didn't make my dad wrong all these years for kind of not participating emotionally in my life. But I'd lie if I didn't tell you that that did affect my relationships, because I really never got to see what a loving relationship was like, because my dad was kind of distant. But I did know what it felt like to be loved, like, deeply, deeply. I also remember what I learned from my dad was, I remember Roots came on. And my dad was super quiet, never said anything about much. And I remember when Roots came on, he got really agitated. And I'd never seen my dad agitated. He was a big guy. And we had to turn Roots off. And I learned at that point that my dad must have had some trauma in his life that was very triggering by Roots. And I would have never known that if I just had made my dad wrong. But thank God I didn't. So I'm super grateful. So I want to give you some pointers or just some tips that as you move through your journey to wellness and you look at your relationship with your parents, just like a few things for you to consider. 1, our parents are human beings with their own unresolved trauma and beliefs about their self-worth. And that means that sometimes they act out of ways that isn't real positive. Doesn't make it right, but I think when we understand that underneath it, they're dealing with their own stuff, maybe it makes it a little easier to understand, even if it still hurts. That you can love your parents and feel hurt by them at the same time. And I think I was guilty a little bit of this in the beginning. Was I had my parents on such a high pedestal that God forbid that I would ever kind of admit that they did some things that weren't so great. But you can hold those two things simultaneously. You can love them and feel hurt by the way they treated you. They're not responsible for your healing. You are. Your parents might not ever change, but that doesn't mean that you shouldn't take responsibility for your own healing. Your parents, you might talk to them about how you feel, and they might not change their point of view, but that's okay because you're responsible for your healing and your journey to wellness. You probably can't heal your parents. They went through their trauma. You can try to support them, but you probably won't heal them. And that's okay. They have their own road to wellness. But I don't want you to feel like you're responsible for their healing. This is a hard one. As you heal yourself, it might bring out emotional insecurity in them, even if you don't say anything. The fact that you are beginning to live your best life, you're beginning to let go of the pain and the anxiety. You know, families are systems that work together. And that system has been maybe dependent on maybe your role as victim, maybe your role as martyr, maybe your role as saving person, and maybe you're sick of it. And you don't even have to say anything, but you begin now to take care of yourself. Guess what? That causes chaos in the system. And they might begin to demonstrate some emotional insecurity around making you wrong for living your best life and being whole. And this one is so important. I'm going to leave you with this one. The space your parents have in your adult life is for you to choose. I always say, and I'm not saying this is true for you, I will always, and you know I have a great relationship with my mom, I'll respect my parents, always. They brought me on this earth. I honestly believe they did the best they could. But if my mom was maybe mean or hurtful to me or hurt my mental wellness, it's okay for me to not choose to have my mom in my life. Might still take care of her, might still support her, but it's okay to not have her in my life. And you might have some parents. My daughter has struggled with this herself. She had to kind of set her dad aside over here for her own mental wellness. And you know what? She's thriving now. But it was only because she was finally okay to say, I'm not as healthy when I'm in relationship with my father. And that definitely triggered him, because then he was hurt by that. But she did a great job of just standing in her truth and knowing that this was best for her. Does it hurt? Absolutely. My daughter still has her dad's picture right there on her desk. She would like nothing more for him just to be the father that he is capable of being, or that she would like him to be. But for whatever the reason, he's not choosing that. So she still loves her dad, but she doesn't communicate, and that's allowed her to heal, to begin the healing, and to do well mentally. And her wellness is thriving because of it. So this was kind of a heavy one today. But I think it's so critical, because I know in life, so many of us make choices out of our relationship with our parents. And if we can bring this to a level of consciousness, and I'll type up these and put them in a post later, you might be able to love your parents, but still keep them in a way that you can focus on your journey to wellness. So I hope this has been helpful for you. I know you guys are going to have a fantastic week. And please don't ever forget that you deserve happiness now. Have a great day, everybody. Bye.